Hi there, it's Cassie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and blog. Today I have a card for you for the Lawn Fawn Addicts Challenge number 25, and it's a color challenge. And so I'm using the Lawn Fawn How You Bean stamp set, which is such a cute set that comes with the jar and it has the little jelly beans. It's perfect for Easter and spring. So I grabbed an A2 sized card there, and I'm folding it in half, and I will score it there at 4 1/4. And then I'm actually going to take it to my cutter off camera, which you can't see, and I cut off just about, I don't know, about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch off that one front side there. And now I'm taking a piece of the Lawn Fawn Perfectly Plaid scrap that I had, and I'm going to cut that down to 5 1/2 so that I can fit it to make a little side panel for my card so that you can see it sticking out from the side. So I'll use my tape runner there, and then I'll line it up. And then I'm going to just stick the top portion down so that it grabs that paper where the tape runner is. And there you go. That'll be the front of my card. I figured I'd just get that done and out of the way before I started doing any stamping. The stamp set is so cute. I've been so excited to ink it up. I couldn't wait. So I grabbed my stamp platform, and I'm going to grab some Neenah Solar White, 80 pound, and I'm going to stick the paper down in there and get it ready to be inked up. And I'm going to use the Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink because it's Copic friendly. I'm not doing a lot of Copic coloring with this, but I just figured it would be better that way. And you'll see why the stamp platform can be so handy here. So I ink up my stamp and I stamp it down, and you'll see that I don't get a great impression, and that's why the stamp platform can be so wonderful to have. So I just ink it back up, and because it's right in the same spot again, I just put a little pressure, and there you go. I'll clean off my stamp, pull out that piece of paper, and now I'm going to grab the die that matches the How You Bean stamp set. There are 2 dies that can go with it. It's the How You Bean die and the How You Bean shaker die. So what I'm making is actually a shaker card, and I just loosely drew on the outside of that die because that's going to be the background. And I've discovered here that my Copic BG10 is pretty bad. It needs to be filled up pretty good. So I'm just going to re-ink it real quick. And then I'll put the lid back on that, stick the side back in there, and you can see it's still kind of blotchy once I get going again. But because this is the background, I'm not really that concerned. And I grab a BG23 just to kind of do the sides there. And I'll blend it out as best I can with that marker. But again, it's the background, so I'm not really that concerned. And then I'm going to just lightly go around the edges of that glass jar. For the lid, I will grab my T3 and my T5, which are some pretty good neutral colors, and I'm just going to color that lid up there. I'm not doing anything real fancy with it either, because my T3 needs to be filled pretty bad as well, but I don't have that refill. It seems like every time I go to buy it, they are all sold out wherever I go. So then I'll grab my dies that coordinate with that, and I'm going to tape those down with some washi tape. And the jar itself is actually going to be, the die that I have for that cuts out the middle, so that's where your shaker portion goes. And I'll run it through my Big Shot off screen. This is something I learned from Amy R. from Prairie Paper and Ink. That is a little Xyron sticker maker, and I am planning to use those pieces of cardstock to cut out that Hugs die, which is the Scripty Hugs from Lawn Fawn. And I just want to make sure that that sticker paper, or the sticky, sticks up to the sticker, or the cardstock really well to make it a sticker, basically. That's one of the, I just love this thing. It's so neat. You can make all kinds of stickers out of it. So that will match really well with that die, and I will run it through my Big Shot off screen. I'll show you here one time, but I do it 3 times because I want my Hugs to have dimension. So I run that through there, and what it'll do is once it's die cut out, the word Hugs will have a sticky back to it. So now each of those is a sticker. And so originally I put it back in the negative there, but it wasn't necessary because the Hugs die itself, or the cutout, is pretty thick, so it keeps its shape pretty well. But if you had a really thin cutout, you'd probably want to use your negative. but this one seems to hold its shape pretty well. Just like that, I'm adding dimension using 3 layers, and it was so easy to run that through that Xyron sticker maker. And those things are pretty inexpensive. You can get those for like $10, I think. At least I bought mine for that a long time ago. Now I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to put it all together, and I realize I need to grab the acetate because I need to put some acetate on the back of that one jar cutout. And I could have, when I was die cutting everything, just easily used the solid jar image, but I wasn't going to pull out all that stuff again, so I'm just loosely and very loosely cutting around the acetate so that it'll fit in there and cover up pretty well so that I don't have to worry about it sticking out of the sides. And then I'll just use some Ranger Multimedia Matte to stick it down. And I'll push that down into it. And from there, then I'm going to grab some foam tape so that I can start building my shaker. Now I screwed up the first time. I had doubled it up just like that, but then I had cut it in half, and it was too thick to fit around the outside of that jar. So I did it again, and this time I cut it in thirds. And if you pull off the backing on both sides, that tape is really, really easy to manipulate. So there I'm just kind of sticking it around the edges. And I'll do it again. And I can, you know, because that has that sticky back paper on it, I can just keep those and save those for another shaker if I want to. And off camera, I had cut out all these jelly beans using various colors from my stash. And so I've got all those little jelly beans, and I am going to end up stamping those. Each color is going to have a different face because this stamp set, like I said, is so cute. Look at all those little faces that are included in the stamp set. And so I put all but one from each color into the shaker. And now I'm going to stick it back together. Now I kind of screwed up. This was a learn moment. I didn't push down very hard, so when I went to shake it, my little jelly beans started popping out. So I was able to easily peel that back up and kind of stick the jelly beans back in there. And lesson learned, when you put it down, push down so that nothing falls out. And there's my little shaker of jelly beans. So now I'm just going to go ahead and put those down using the Tombow Mono Multi, which is another liquid adhesive. Putting the jar lid on top of there, and then I'm going to stick my jar itself down. The word hugs is going to get put down as well, and because it has a sticky back on it, like a sticker, I can just peel that off and put it down where I want. But I'm going to wait. First, I'm going to grab some black cardstock that I always have just sitting off to the side, and I'm going to stamp the word Easter from the How You Bean set on the top there. And then I am going to cover it with some white embossing powder. Before I did that, I used my anti-static powder tool to just kind of make sure that no powder would stick to where I didn't want it. And then I'll heat that powder up, and as you'll see, the embossing powder will heat and it'll melt, and you'll get Easter. And once it's cooled down, I rub off the anti-static with my fingers, and then I'm going to trim it down with my paper trimmer. And then I'm going to cut that down to put on the side. I cut just a little notch there, and then eyeball it and just cut a fairly straight line. No science there, I suppose. And then I'm going to stick that down with some glue and put my hugs on top of that, and that will finish off the outside of the card. Later on, I ended up not being super excited at how plain it seemed on the outside, so I added some Tonic Studios dimensionals. They make like a little enamel dots on the outside, and you'll see those in the pictures. But I'm gonna, on the inside, just put my little jelly beans down in rainbow order, and that'll end up finishing off the card. But I had a lot of fun making this card. Learned some stuff along the way, made a few mistakes, but it was definitely fun. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave those down in the comments below. I'd love it if you liked this video or even subscribe to my channel, because I definitely want to have more things to show you. I appreciate you stopping by, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.